Um, the next thing we would like to do is actually walk through a leaders group reunion. So I'm going to attempt to drive a little bit better here. And I assume most of us are grouping and are familiar with the group reunion format and process. Um, and the leaders group reunion is very similar. Um, it has more of a focus on how we're leading within the Cursillo movement. Um, the core team, we've practiced this. We've put this in practice a few times, and it is um, it is interesting. It's challenging in certain ways. It opens your mind and your heart to maybe some of the things that we should be doing as leaders. It's a bit convicting. Um, so we're going to start practicing this in our School of Leaders each month. And we actually had a second here because we wanted to go through the heart of the charism first and then kind of get into our leaders group reunion. But in future meetings, after we've done our prayer, done our introductions, we're to break up and go into um, breakout rooms and do this leaders group reunion um, as a regular course of doing these School of Leader meetings. So before we just kind of get into that as a routine part of our meeting, we wanted to walk through this with everyone. And of course, it's laid out on a card, like similar to what we've had before for our friendship group reunions. Um, we actually, let's see. I'm gonna pop something open here. Close this. Um, we've changed the format just a little, so it's a little bit easier to read. And I'm gonna walk through this section by section for us all together. And then we're going to break out into breakouts, and I'm going to take a snapshot of this and try to put it in the chat so that we have it as a reference within our breakout groups. But um, um, we'll kind of take this step by step. So um, eh, let's see, is this large enough? Do I need to kind of uh, make it easier to see here? Okay. So within the leaders group reunion, of course, we start with prayer to the Holy Spirit. And then we look at leaders' piety. What spiritual aids helped me to grow as a leader in the Crucio movement this week? As a Catholic leader, what was my moment most aware of Christ? Um, Looking at leaders' study, what official Crucio movement literature am I studying? Is it associated with doctrine, technique, or other? Um, and as leaders, um, there is a call to action. So, and it's interesting. It takes me back to the introduction, right? So it's more important to be than to do. Um, and then if we're really living that being, then the doing actually kind of naturally springs forth from that. Um, but in our leaders' action, we're looking at apostolic successes and failures in our precursio. What environment am I studying? Have I identified key people in these environments? How am I preparing them for Cursillo? And what have I done to bring others to better understanding of pre-Cursillo? On the Cursillo weekend, how am I living the Cursillo talks? And this question actually kind of strikes me because do I remember all the Cursillo talks? It makes me want to go back and review my notes and review the content of those talks again. What am I doing to improve myself? Am I able to give witness to being in a friendship group in the first place, in transforming my environment, and of our group actually transforming environments? Within the post Cursillo, what have I done in personal contact with others to form and sustain in groups and to prepare and energize the Ultrea? And then in the School of Leaders, how was I faithful to the obligations that I have as a leader, to my assignments? And something that I think we talk about a lot, but we really need to be in the practice of is offering palanca and getting others to do so. And then lastly, a call to or a challenge. looking forward. What plans do I have for this week for the pre-Crucio, in Crucio? We're missing a P here, but post Crucio, and then within the School of Leaders, and then as we do with our group readings, ending with a prayer of thanksgiving. So there's a lot here, and I think as we break into these into our breakouts, one thing that I would encourage us is, if you haven't, if this is kind of the first time you're seeing this leaders group reunion, um, there's a lot here. There's a lot to cover, and I think one suggestion I would have is in our breakouts, as opposed to going from person to person, I would suggest the first time at least for us to go question by question or section by section, and that'll allow each of us to say something, because if we run out of time and I pull us back together into the big group, at least everyone's had a chance to touch a topic. And the other thing I would throw out is, first and foremost, this is a friendship group, right? So, it may be awkward, it may be a little uncomfortable, there may be questions we don't have answers for, but please be at peace. Enter this grouping in friendship and in truth, and uh, we're going to practice it and see how it goes. So, I'm not very skilled at doing the breakout room, so I'm going to start working on that here, and then I'm going to place a screenshot of this in our chat. So, all right. Well, we haven't lost everyone, so I think that's good. And it seems like everyone used most of the time. I'll let that extend a little longer. Hopefully, we were able to group fairly well there. I'm gonna go ahead and start sharing again, and we're gonna go back to our slides for the meeting, and just to give Carla and Kelly and Rachel a heads up. So we're gonna jump into the work of the sections, um, and then we're gonna follow that up with a summary of action items, and announcements, and then we'll close the meeting out. So let me get myself prepared. And okay, a little smoother. We'll take it. So I'll hand this section off to Carla.
Okay, guys. So we have decided as a core team to provide a very general definition of work of the sections, and we're going to read this definition at the beginning or during this section each meeting to help all of us learn what work of the sections means. So what we've come up with for work of the section is in Crucio, the term work of the sections involves the leaders dividing into pre-Crucio, Crucio 3-day, and post-Crucio or 4th day to address specific needs, challenges, or opportunities for assistance. This is to ensure the movement effectively prepares candidates, runs weekends, and supports ongoing faith. This helps the leaders stay in touch with the movement by planning and working together. So that is a very general definition and very brief definition of what work of the sections means. So in this component of the meeting, what we have decided to do for the work of the sections is to list all of the openings for the Secretariat. So I'm going to read those now. And then, okay, there we go. So the openings of this in the Secretariat are the Diocesan Coordinator. Michael's term is coming up sometime. The Assistant Diocesan Coordinator is vacant. The Post-Crucio Coordinator is vacant. The Music Coordinator is being managed by David Leclerc, but I believe he is ready to move along. The Voice Editor is vacant, and the Palanca Coordinator is vacant. So what we're asking at this time is for, and Aaron, help me recall, if we are asking folks to nominate people now or to reach out to you, feel free to offer
I,
suggestions to this group chat. So
yeah, I think
we are
yeah.
yeah. So we are asking of the folks on this meeting to think of a specific person that you know within your Curcio uh, groups or community or whomever that you think would be a good candidate for any of these open positions. So,
Carla,
yeah,
I just wanted to clarify, the assistant diocesan coordinator is for the Lafayette Diocese.
Lafayette. That's what Kate just said too.
Okay.
So thank you for clarifying. The
Okay.
assistant diocesan coordinator is in Lafayette. So what we would like for you to do is to specifically think of a person and nominate them and contact them or reach out to Aaron and say, I really think Kate Johnson would be a good Polanca coordinator. Here's her contact. So rather than just thinking, oh, it's not me, like I'm not going to be the post Curcio coordinator, but who do I know that could be? So that's really what we're reaching to do at this time is having all of us think within our communities to who we can offer a personal invitation or nomination. Is that correct, Aaron? Oh, you're muted.
I think he got it. He's trying to figure out how to spell diocese.
Correct. That is correct.
ESE.
Yeah, there you go.
There's a spell checker in there.
That's okay. My spelling is world famous.
Well, I asked him to do two things at once then.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Yes, that's correct. And I think, if there's a person that comes to mind immediately, yeah, we can throw that in the chat. If you need to kind of consider it, if you need to pray on it, if you want to think about it, yeah, you feel free to email me at barrap47 at gmail. And yeah, it's just expanding our network through the School of Leaders. That's it's kind of tying us all together in this movement. That's the intention here.
Having worked a lot with David LeClaire, he and I have talked a lot about music. And he was just saying to me when we met for the Altrea in November that music coordinators actually don't require to be active musicians. They just need to understand how to record the music that's being used to be able to document for copyright. And then there's a special set of registered numbers that then have to be reported. So every time that there is music being performed in any closing or altrea in a public manner, and during the weekends, of course, too, that has to be noted, all the music, so that the people that made that music or still receive dividends get their fair share. And that is just really, it almost sounds like a secretarial type position, but it could be somebody who knows that industry and doesn't have to fear that they have to be performers. We would love it if the music coordinators also, were active musicians, but the active musician part's not as necessary as knowing that industry. And anybody who's worked in music as a church music coordinator has that sort of background. So I just wanted to clarify. David said that you don't need to be the guy that also then plays the guitar at every Altrea. He does that because he loves it. And I think that's been the biggest challenge is we tend to think of the last person and what their skill set was. Oh, and I can't possibly do what they did. And guys, I followed Ellen Sanders and Steve Sanders, and their role modeling as post Crucio couple coordinating that job for about 3 to 5 years as well taught me at least what I could do as one person, but reaching out often to other people. And I was sharing this in our group great breakout session today that many of these positions do need support. We work together. And that's why I love the fact that the school leaders is discussing this right now, because we are a body of people that know many other people and should
Yeah.
consider sometimes this as a group effort, even for the coordinators to consider that role in group efforts. And I'm sure the secretary will continue to have that conversation too.
One additional comment I'll make is, some of like the idea with like the job description for these things are, because I think a lot of us, I know when I was asked to get involved a couple of years ago, I was like, I don't know what 3 day or like I felt like I did because I was, I was helping on weekends and doing things, but I didn't know what the day to day, like what my responsibilities were. And so when I think of someone like the Planka coordinator, and I want to approach somebody, I think I kind of know what that is just from being around, but I'm not totally 100% positive I'm accurate with that assumption. So I think maybe some short descriptions for these that you could provide to the group that say, hey, this is what the plot corner is going to do. We're responsible for, time commitment, things of that nature. I think it's easier for people to say yes to things that they know more about versus I know post Crucio's post after Crucio, or is that before Crucio? What does it
Yeah.
all mean? And and then what's that entail,
Yeah.
and what are some of the responsibilities? So I think that would help me think about some individuals that I know that might fit into that, or what I mean, the working genius, someone who's like you said, music coordinator. It's not someone's music, but it's maybe someone's attention to detail that can get that information and do the things that need to happen.
Yeah.
So just having that idea would, I think, would be helpful. So
One of the things that,
Eric,
oh, sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kate.
Okay.
I'm gonna drive while you're talking, so go
Okay.
ahead.
One of the things Michael and I talked about around like my role changing was what does that role do? And I had just trained on Palanca. Um, and so I was like, I think Palanca is something where you could have two people doing that. It doesn't feel like a lot until the week of the weekends, and then it is a lot because you're going through gathering all of the Palanca that's sent and making sure it's ready. You have the prayer chain board to get together. Those jobs, like for week of, become really heavy and a lot of hours. And it would be helpful to have more than one person. It would be helpful to have one person galvanizing and driving, signups to make sure that prayer chain's full. And it would be helpful to have a different person who's managing all of the Palanca that's coming in and needs to go out and getting it where it needs to be, because the week of, I spent every evening, all evening, working on those things, and that's a lot. I think several of these positions could have more than one person, which might make the role a little more appetizing to people in terms of stepping up if they have a partner to be working with. And like post Curcio is one of those. Like Louisa, you've done that for how many years now? And that's a lot. And
One
so
and a half.
yeah, having, maybe co-leads for certain positions, or really looking at like where are things, right? And like working genius, if you're on Secretariat, we did like a team map. Eric ran us through a team map. Galvanizing is not that is my working frustration. So like for me, that part of Palanca was like, okay, here we go. Sign up, people, sign up. I don't know. Right. So making sure people are in roles that highlight those things. But then if there's a role that requires a lot of different geniuses, maybe that's where, and has a lot of effort that into it, maybe we need to consider like, are there co-leads? Is there a core team that goes with a position so that they feel supported in an area that is not their genius, right? And it might also make way for more people to be engaged and learn from different parishes and across the diocese. So just something to think about.
Okay, so while you were talking, I just did a little driving here, and on the Central Indiana Crucio website, when we look at Meet the Secretariat, actually each of those positions has a job description, so we can you can kind of see what the job entails. And I don't want to rush us through, we're actually a little over time, so I want to hit the last few things quickly. But clearly, you know, the spirit's moving. We've got a lot to talk about. So with that, I'm going to jump back to our slides, and my computer will cooperate with me. And let's see. I gotta go back to my notes and see who we were. So Kelly, I think you're going to lead us through the action items. Our action items are pretty simple today. So
yes. Do you know anyone who could be a leader in their environment? Make a personal invitation to January's School of Leader meeting.
Let's fix that on the fly.
February School of Leaders meeting, February 14th at 9 a.m. And just wanted to give Louisa an opportunity to share any like unfinished business and to also just thank her for being such a wonderful gift of self. So
Thank you.
anything, Louisa, that you
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I was letting my next Zoom meeting know that I'm still on this meeting, so I kind of heard two things and didn't hear the key question. Kelly, repeat your question. Some unfinished business. That's all I heard you say.
Yes, if you have any unfinished business that you want to communicate or anything about Post Crescio or
because of what I've been doing, and maybe I created a role that became a monster, but it's a lovely monster. For example, I am still in the routine of going through the calendar of the year as Post Crucio because we all live our fourth day every single day of our lives. So in the month of January, I always do new beginnings. So I just communicated with about half of the Secretariat staff with an email yesterday, for example, of the updated brochure for 2026, our weekends, where they're being held. And in addition, I also communicate with the Latino community because I speak Spanish and they have exciting news. So I shared that in the email so they can share it out. But for their 4 weekends, they're already scheduled and they're in a new place. So they're not even using St. Joseph's Retreat Center anymore. So they're at Ross Camp in West Lafayette. So putting that information together for me and sending it out, even though I'm not on the Secretariat, was a pleasure to do because I love communicating with people. That's one of the things I really picked up on in this role. But I will say that the essential, and I also volunteered when I spoke with Anne-Marie Kuba this week as well, and talking about the Women's Weekend, that if the Secretariat doesn't have a problem with it, that I'll be their MC for closing. So just putting that information out, I'm always going to do that, whether I have the leadership title on my shoulders or not. But I do want people to think about someone has to be in charge of the reunion Ultrea after the Women's Weekend. And I will be honest, I'm not planning that Ultrea because if I do that, then I'm back in the role and I haven't left. And for family reasons, I just don't have the time commitment that is going on currently in my personal life. And so it's going to be important for people, any one of you. I've hopefully have modeled enough to show what it looks like to run an Ultrea, what parts need to be there. And of course, documents are everywhere. Templates have already been prepared. So it's just a matter of anybody looking at those templates, refining them if they need them, and going forth and doing the work and getting your best buds to help you put those together. And it's good work when you have support, all in all. It works well, but it's just too much for one person to manage. And so I'm trying to make that message as clear, and Kate made it and said it. Thank you very much, Aaron, supporting that too. So I'll pray for everyone. That's what I'm doing every day. Pray for this movement. And I take that very seriously, and I know you all do too.
Thank you so much. And then when the Zoom program is over, please bring something from it back to your group reunion and maybe share something if there's anything inspiring and being able to share that. And again, inviting people to participate in February 14th meeting. Thank you.
Rachel, you're with us now? Yes.
Yeah. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, there we go. So just upcoming announcements. The Women's Weekend, Women's 120 is April 23rd through 26th. And the Rectora Amory Guba, she's actually joined us this morning. So it's great seeing you, Amory. And then the Men's Weekend 130 is October 1st through 4th. And that is at Our Lady of Fatima Retreat. And Eric is also with us today. So it's great to have both of you with us. So I guess that could be an action item for the rest of us to be thinking of, make a friend, be a friend, make a friend, bring a friend to Christ. So thinking about who would be good people that we could sponsor or get to those weekends and how we could be supporting those weekends through prayer and Palanca and trying to find people that would be good to go for those weekends. Here are some of our upcoming dates for School of Leaders. We're focusing on the heart of the movement and continuing our study of the charism. And so our next meeting is February 14th, like Kelly shared. And so we'll just continue on this with this format. It is a new format, so I guess we would love feedback from all of you too, what you thought about today and how that went, because we felt like it was important to add in some of these things that have been missing. So those are all the announcements.
Very good. And I know I let the meeting go a little long. I think if my transitions are smoother, we get those 8 or 9 minutes back. So we'll get better as we go. Do I have any volunteers for a closing prayer for us today? Peter? You'll have to unmute yourself though.
Yeah, that would help, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So I pulled together this. I heard this prayer this week in my study of the saints. This is from Saint John Henry Newman. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. I never may know it in this life, but I shall be told it in the next. Somehow I am necessary for his purposes, as necessary in my place as an archangel in his. If indeed I fail, he can raise another, as he could make the stones children of Abraham. Yet I have a part in this great work. I am a link in a chain, a bond of connection between persons. He has not created me for naught. I shall do good. I shall do his work. I shall be an angel of peace, a preacher of truth in my own place. While not intending it, if I do keep his commandments and serve him in my calling. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
De Coloris, everybody.
Yes, thank you,
Dolores.
everyone.
Dolores.
Have a great weekend.
God bless everyone.
Hasta la próxima.
Good seeing everybody.
Bye, Aaron.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
In the darkness, we were waiting without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the